I tend to be a more serious kind of dramatic actor. But I recognize that. I was like, they're looking for like a Will Ferrell. So I just go in and I give it my most ridiculous all. And I mean, I looked stupid. I had a pair of leather pants. I had this oversized Metallica sleeveless shirt, and I had this belt over the shirt. Later on, the director said I looked like a heavy metal Peter Pan.
Welcome to My Worst Audition.
Welcome back to My Worst Audition. Today with me is my dear friend Robert Anthony Peters. He's a member of SAG-AFTRA and has been acting, producing, directing, and writing professionally in theater, film, voiceover, and more for over 2 decades. His most recognizable film acting roles are In the Pursuit of Happiness, starring Will Smith, and Steve Jobs, starring Michael Fassbender. He writes and lectures internationally on the relationships between art, law, philosophy, and economics. He records audiobooks, is a policy advisor for the Heartland Institute, a fellow with the Archbridge Institute, and is a chair of the board of the Fully Informed Jury Association. He also manages his family's retail shipping store in Tucson, Arizona, which you can see right there if you're watching this video. His film writing, directing, and producing debut, Tank Man, won the Audience Award at the Anthem Film Festival and can be found at tankmanthemovie.com. Many places in the world, but definitely not in Beijing. Robert Anthony Peters, thank you so much for joining me.
Gary, always a pleasure to see you.
Yeah, man, it's great seeing you. And thank you so much for jumping in and doing this. And I know you said you don't have a great audition story. I'm sure you have something, and I know you have a great performance story of what you needed to do to get in that Steve Jobs movie. So I look forward to hearing that.
Well, yeah, it's more of a disastrous career story as opposed to just the audition is just too small. I'm trying to expand beyond that to horrors.
Should. Yeah. Make sure the actual production goes poorly as well, not just the audition.
Exactly. Yeah.
Perfect.
Sabotage yourself all along the path.
Straight through. Yeah. Commit to the bit, man. That's what I'm all about.
That's it. Yeah. If you can't do it well, at least just stick to doing it like shit. So.
Yeah. There you go. Well, for those who are watching this, they can see you are in your folk store here. Can you expand on exactly what your job is there?
Yeah, well, since the SAG strike, I've had to get, other employment, otherwise, full-time actor, just night and day, working on film and TV. But the strikes just put my whole career on hold. So I've had to jump in here and start packing boxes. So you know what it's like, right?
You need a sugar mama like me.
Oh, Billy, you're telling me. We bought this store, I think 20 years ago. And so I come in and help run it off and on. And actually it was a really great thing because there was a long time where I was just doing acting basically almost full time, doing tons of indie films in the early 2000s before the financial crisis that wiped out all the Silicon Valley stupid money that people had, at least for the time. Yeah, man. We did tons of everybody's dream indie projects. It was wonderful.
I only got started doing this in this business in 2007, and I've heard stories of people saying, like, it just used to be amazing, just money flowing everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I did so many crappy horror films, but, it'd be smaller markets. I'd be a lead in them and just have a great time. And but every year I'd come back here, at least in December, to help out. And it was so wonderful because it was so grounding, and you'd have like these more immediate gratification transactions. Like, oh, you're doing, you make a film, right? You're like, who knows if anybody will ever see this, if anybody will enjoy it, if it will even get completed, right? Like we've done our part. That's it.
Yeah.
But it was nice here, I'd make a sale. Somebody's like, thank you. I'm like, thank you. It's good. Everybody's happy. Yeah. It's an amazing experience.
Yeah, that immediate knowledge that it went well and we can move on. You're doing a good thing.
Yeah,
man.
So, I spend a good bit of time here, and I'm much pickier about the projects I work on now too. I mean, I used to do kind of everything that would come along, and now, I'm kind of selective, which is a nice place to be. I mean, I'd love to work more, but there's not as many exciting and interesting opportunities in Arizona, but every now and then something comes up. And, we do a lot of self-tape. I do have a halfway decent audition, a self-tape audition story.
Oh, please tell.
So yeah, a lot of times, I mean, you need a reader. I don't know. Does your wife usually read for you?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
she really helps me a lot because my jam is comedy, and I feel like I can roll out of bed and do that.
Yeah.
But a lot of the drama stuff, she's like, you realize the choice you're making here makes no sense. I need you to do this. So she really is actually very good directing. It's probably through her that I've booked some dramatic roles.
Okay, so you're getting not just a reader, but a director feedback on the spot.
Yeah,
that's
it's
awesome.
helpful.
Yeah. I've got. I'm usually asking my mom to read off camera with me, which.
Robert, my boy, you're doing such a great job.
Yeah,
I don't know why
exactly.
everybody's mom sounds like they're from Wisconsin, as far as I'm concerned. But sure,
it's true. Everybody's mom does sound like that. So, but you've got a Jewish mom, right? So does she sound like she's from Wisconsin too? Or?
No, she sounds like Kyle Broflovsky's mom from South Park. If anybody knows that.
That's lovely. So it's with one of my favorite casting directors in San Francisco. She sends me this script, and the scene is I'm a kind of a nerdy guy, a big stretch, right? So you know me well enough. So I'm going to these like pickup artists, like taking a class from a pickup artist guy. So so the scene is, he's talking and I'm kind of responding, and so he's saying, he now being my mother is saying about, yeah, you gotta like, grab them by the tits, or grab their pussy. The casting director just immediately wrote me back as soon as I sent her that. She was like, you made my week. Listening to your mom talk about grabbing pussies, like, this is helping. This is going to keep me floating for a while. So
that's great. I love that, man.
My mom's a good sport, thankfully. Yeah, she's willing to do that. She doesn't even bat an eye anymore. She's like, whatever. It's just a role.
That's fantastic. I have two things. It makes me think of two things. First of all, there's always a would you rather question that I love asking people. And if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. But would you rather watch a porn with your parents or a porn starring your parents? You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
This is like the trolley problem where I just say, I refuse to participate.
I know.
This is not a real choice in the world. I'm out.
The best trolley drawing I ever saw, I think most people know the meme, was a girl who it looked like she just was either crazy or a psycho or whatever. She was like so done with it. The trolley goes the track. You have to pick which way, which part of the track to go to. And this girl just draws the track around so it loops back with the other track on the bottom. So the trolley just ends up running over both of them. I was like, that's great. Fantastic.
Yeah. That's always the best. Just kill them all.
Just kill them all. But what you're saying, your casting director liked it, said it made her week. That is kind of my go-to a lot of times. And I just did it today. If I'm pretty certain that I'm not going to get a role, I'm like, listen, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get this regardless. At least let me make this memorable or funny or entertaining. So I just submitted something for Peloton today. There's no way I'm getting it. But I made sure to really lean into that fact. And if they were even considering me remotely, they're definitely not considering me now after what I sent in. So there we go. But at the very least, the casting director will remember me, maybe, and say, yeah, you know what? That was kind of funny.
You're tall, dark, and handsome. How could you not be getting the role? I don't understand.
No, it didn't seem right for me. I'll send you the pictures afterward. But they were asking at one point for me to be on a bike, and I have an indoor bicycle here. And thankfully, I guess, for the audition. And they said, you're biking, you're doing your thing. And then a really inspiring song comes on. And you were tired before, but now you're really energetic and ready to go. So I'm like, all right, what's the dumbest song I can put on here while I'm doing this? So I'm biking. And then, I clicked on the Different Strokes theme song, everybody's got a special kind of story. And I'm just flying and having a good time, and I'm singing along. I made a mockery of the whole thing. Whatever.
That's wonderful.
I'll be shocked if I even get a callback for it.
But that's I still remember this was back in the Tower Records days. I did a series of Tower Records commercials early 2000s, local to the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. And I showed up to the audition. They had a few different styles, and they wanted you to show up as either like heavy metal or disco or uh, jazz, or I don't know. So I showed up as heavy metal, and I could hear some of the direction, and I was looking around and seeing the reactions of people come out of the room, and I was like, oh, this is like, you got to go balls to the wall on this one. I tend to be a more serious kind of dramatic actor. But I recognize that. I was like, they're looking for like a Will Ferrell. So I just go in and I give it my most ridiculous all. And I mean, I looked stupid. I had a pair of leather pants. I had this oversized Metallica sleeveless shirt, and I had this belt over the shirt. And later on, the director said I looked like a heavy metal Peter Pan. But I went in and just gave it, just threw any of my, all of my pride to the side, and just did it, and ended up getting it in that whole series. And it was one of the most fun shoots I've ever done. It was such a blast.
Now I want to see this because I don't think I've ever seen the ad.
Oh no, I'm sure you didn't, unless you lived in the Bay Area in like 2004.
Please tell me you have a copy of it that you can send me.
I'm gonna have to check. I'll see if it's still up on this guy's website. It was for a long time, and I was like, when are you gonna take this down? This is old shit. He's like, no, it's hilarious. It was great. It was so much fun. So stupid, so dumb, but it was a blast.
You got it. I think that's such a great lesson. You got to leave your pride at the door, man.
Totally.
You're there to basically be a clown and play a different character that's not yourself. So just leave yourself out of it and just go have fun.
Absolutely. Man, just have a great time with it.
That's so great. I love that, man.
Yeah. The story, I think you like my Steve Jobs story. That was one of those I didn't hear forever, and I thought I didn't get it. I didn't book it.
This is when you did the Steve Jobs movie with Michael Fassbender. This is an amazing story. Please go ahead.
When Michael Fassbender got to work with me on Steve Jobs. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
This one, oh my gosh, I don't know how complete of a story I told you, and I don't know how complete of a story you want to hear, but you can always
want to hear everything.
You can always edit this for length. But yeah, one of those, I'm sure you had those moments where I'm just like, I'm done, man. I'm hanging up I'm putting it aside. I got to focus on other stuff. This is just, it's crazy.
At least half a dozen for me.
Yeah.
Where I'm like right on the edge. And then something else comes along and I'm like a degenerate gambler. The next one's going to be it.
Completely.
Yeah.
So, of course I say that. And then I get a call from my favorite casting director in San Francisco. She's so awesome. And she always thinks of me for great projects. And I'm eternally grateful for that. Calls and says, we've got an audition for you for this film coming up. So I'm like, it's December. Like, this is the crazy busiest time of year for us here. I'm down here. I just kind of came back down here. It's like, I got to get a last minute flight up to San Francisco. That's like $500. Flight back, another 500. So I'm like, okay, all right. But this is the deal, right? We got to do it. You get an opportunity.
Yeah.
You gotta go for it. So, okay.
Yeah.
So, book a ticket. I'm calling my agent, I'm driving to the airport. You're sure? Because, A, this is costing me a lot of money. B, it's tough for me to leave my family in the lurch right now. So, it's happening tomorrow, man. Just come on up, do your thing, fly right back. Okay. All right. So I fly up, stay at a friend's house in the East Bay, and I'm going to take the BART train in. Well, there's this like storm of the decade. So we're pulling into the BART station in San Francisco, and none of the lights are on. Like, the emergency lights are on. Like, I'm surprised the trains are even running. And you go up, there's like no cars. There's no like traffic lights aren't. We're like, there is literally no electricity in downtown San Francisco. And I'm like, this is looking a little odd. So I show up. I got there plenty of time, right? Because you fly all this way, you're not going to be late. Go to my agency. they're not there yet. Lights are off. I'm hanging with the security guard, my buddy JJ, and agent shows up and he's like, "Hey man, this is crazy, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah, audition's still going on." "I'm sure it's still going on, man. No doubt about it." Okay. We go up to the office. He makes a call. He's like, "I'm so sorry. I am so sorry." And I'm okay. All right. Hey man, this happens, right? So they're like, "We'll let you know." They said they're going to reschedule. They don't know when. So I take the BART to SFO. I book
you
a
handle
flight.
yourself so well. I would have gone insane if that happened. Continue. Sorry.
Oh man, this is what you got to do, right? You just got to take it in stride and just say, "Okay, what's the next best thing to do?" So I get back, go to the BART station, book a flight. I'm sitting in there eating a cup of clam chowder. Get a call from my agent. "We've got an audition for you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Okay, all right. So I leave the airport, cancel the flight, go do the audition. Great. Then I go back to SFO. Weather's too bad. I've got to fly out of Oakland. Fine, whatever. Get on the BART. Go back to Arizona. A few days later, you've got a call back. Now, great. That's wonderful. But it's a small role, right? This isn't like I'm second to Michael Fassbender in here.
I know.
I'm
it's
not
basically, "Here's your coffee, sir."
Yeah, exactly. I'm not playing Waz or something. Do we really need to go through all this? So, but I say, okay, that's cool. I go and I go fly in, go and do that, and Danny Boyle is actually at the audition.
That's
the director.
cool.
Yeah, super nice guy. Seriously, before our call, I referred to Gary as one of the top 2 nicest people I've met in the industry. And Danny Boyle, I'm not sure who's nicer, you or Danny Boyle. One of you are, but
I'm convinced you know a grand total of 6 people in the industry.
You've looked at my resume, apparently. So yeah. But just such a nice guy, just such a gem of a guy, and he paid me some compliment at the end of the audition. Probably said the same thing to everybody, but those are the kinds of things that you just take and say, it was worth it just for that. I don't care what happens at this point. It just felt nice to have somebody like that tell me I'm a good actor. Wonderful. So
man.
Get back on my flight, come back down here. It's like 3 weeks later, I think Christmas has just ended or it's early January. And I know production's starting soon. I think, haven't heard. That's just how these things go, right? I gave it a shot. And I had a better outcome than most of the time, right? Hey, just getting the call back sometimes is accomplishment enough. And then, of course, like 2 days later, I get a call. You booked it. Wonderful. Terrific.
Yes.
I'm very pleased. And we need you to come up in another couple days for wardrobe fitting.
Oh my God.
I'm like, I hate to ask, but is there any chance I could do like the wardrobe fitting like right before we're going to shoot? Cause this is another round trip out of pocket. It's like, I'm sorry, but we got to do this. And okay, no problem. Okay. So I fly up, do the wardrobe, fly back down. I remember meeting one of the guys who's there, who's playing somebody. He's actually playing Jobs' father. Okay. And he's like, what are you reading? Because people always think it's weird when you're reading, like on set. Yeah. Because like, who reads, right? I'm like, I'm reading, Walter Isaacson's biography on Jobs. The book that this film is based off of.
Very smart.
Yeah. Not that they're mentioning engineer with diskette in the book, but I still like to have some idea of what's going on. And
Sure.
This guy's playing he's like, oh my gosh, does it say anything about me? I was like, well, it's a pretty easy way to find out there, buddy. But yeah, actually it does. So I let him borrow it while I was there. It's like, I'm always amazed at actors. Like, how come you're not, this is like base level research,
I know.
This is not that hard. Like, it wasn't like I had to go to Florence or something and like, plead with some arcane monk to get this copy. It's like, this is in the airport bookstore. You could pull this anywhere. So do the wardrobe, fly back down here. Now I'm flying up to for the shoot. I'm thrilled because they're putting me on a weekly also for 2 weeks. I've got one scene.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, one scene, like, a few 3 lines, but they're putting me on a weekly because they're like, well, we want you like in the background, part of the team and stuff. So like you're a natural part, not just, we drop you in for your day and that's it. So really cool.
Nice.
And so normally I cut everything pretty close. I guess, I got a lot of things I work on. So, my time is very valuable to me.
Yeah.
So, but it's like, well, first thing Monday morning, I'm flying in early on the day on Sunday. Get on my flight, fly up. Rental car place has my car screwed up. I'm like, I don't care. Here's more money if that's what you want. Just give me a car. I just don't want hassles. I go to my friend's house where I'm going to stay during the tenure of this. She's got a couple of dogs, and they both love me. Sweetest things. And one of them, this dog, I swear he was like my soulmate. And he's so excited to see me, and he comes running down the hall and just buries and I go down on my knees, to give him a big hug. He buries his head in my chest, and I put my head over him, and then he flips his head up as hard as he possibly can because he's just so damn excited. Well, my chin goes up, and the bottom of my teeth hits the top teeth, chips out the middle of one of my center teeth.
That's the part of the story I remember.
Yeah. And so, so I'm looking, and I look a little bit like I do now. I had a beard, and I looked like I looked in the mirror. I'm like, I look like fucking Duck Dynasty jack-o'-lantern. Just this horrific scene.
Yeah.
So I'm about to, all the things you think about me being calm, cool, and collected, I'm about to just burst into tears at that moment. Because, not only this was a process to get here, but even this part, like that I just recounted, as you and all the other actors know, like you think of all the heartache and the failure and the expense and the time and all those auditions that lead that you don't get anything from. And finally things are going right. And I'm about to have, my kind of my little moment in the sun. And so I'm about to start crying, and I just take a deep breath. And in my quavering voice, I'm sure, just say to my friend, I need you to get on the phone, call your dentist, call any dentist call anyone that that has a dentist. And I just start going down the yellow pages. It's Sunday afternoon. Like nobody, I don't live in the city. I don't have a dentist. We're making calls, leaving messages. I got some nice messages back actually the next morning. The people like really interested in the story. Like, can I help you? And, but her best friend's dentist said, I'll do it, but I need somebody to assist me. But my girlfriend's a dentist and she's about to fly back in. So let me get her on the phone. Already way too long story short, in like 3 hours, I had my tooth fixed. You couldn't even see it. The only thing was I could, feel it with my tongue, if you ever get any work like that done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it was such a relief because I could show up. I mean, I was the only one who knew that I was a complete fraud, at least with my teeth on set. But I looked normal according to everybody else. But man, that was a lot of anxiety.
So between the flight and the dental costs versus what you got paid, how much did you lose in that job?
I'm still using the residuals to pay it off now. No, I think, it ended up getting taken care of pretty quickly. It wasn't too bad. And actually the guy didn't rake me over the coals. The dentist did me right on that too. So, man, it was just one of those crazy, crazy things.
That's insane. But in all seriousness, did you come out in the black on that whole experience?
Yeah.
You
eventually,
did?
Okay.
Yeah. Who knows?
Well, I think so. I'm an actor, right? I'm not good at accounting. Like, who's keeping track of all this stuff? It's just like,
Yeah, get somebody with glasses to take care of it. I'm a thespian.
Exactly. No, I just am grateful for like the rare national that comes along that just wipes out like every, problem I've built for myself in the meantime. So
That's an amazing story. You said you didn't want to come on here because you didn't have a good story. It's not exactly fully an audition story, but there are audition elements in it, and it is an insane story.
Man, yeah, but it's you just got to hang in there, right? You just keep plugging away and doing what you do.
I know you have all these kind of side jobs now, and you're doing work in think tanks, and you're doing like really cool, thoughtful work, dude. Not just like memorizing lines and regurgitating them and acting like a clown like the rest of us. But if you didn't get into the acting business to begin with, what do you think you would have wanted to be doing with your life?
That's a great question. When I first went to college, I wanted to be a history teacher. That was what I wanted to do, and then I switched to economics, and then I switched to business, to entrepreneurship and marketing, and that's what I graduated in. And then I had that little quarter life crisis, as I think is John Mayer, somebody dubbed it, and I was like, I'm prone to being miserable anyway, so I'm like, what do I want to do with life? What do I like, right? And I care about human freedom, and I care about, and I love acting and the arts. And so I was like, okay, well, then that's, I guess, what I'll do. So, shipping isn't quite fit into that. It's its own creative endeavor. I'm my own artisan.
That's nice that you've convinced yourself of that. That's quaint.
But actually, you know what? But business is a tremendously creative endeavor, and I find it really rewarding, like building something that didn't exist, or doesn't exist until you put effort towards it. It's not the same. I'm definitely not deluded enough to think this is like a one-to-one. But there's creative aspects of it that I get a lot of pleasure from, and it also allows me to do those things. Like I've got a full staff where when a cool project comes up, I just say, I'll see you guys in a week. I'm going to go do something interesting. And they're like, that's cool, man. That's great. So
and there's creativity in business and problem solving too. Like you never know what's going to happen. Yeah. There's no like rule book for, well, if this happens, then I have to do this. Like you got to think of this stuff on your own and make some unconventional decisions. Totally.
And just like, in the acting field, there's so much business that's important for that as well. And so, and I find just so many of the skills transfer back and forth, negotiating here and negotiating as an actor. It's like, I still remember back in my earlier days, I did some indie film and the agents were like, yeah, we don't really want you. You can talk to the producer directly. That's fine. It's not enough money that we're that worked up about. I mean, we want our VIG, but like we're not going to get involved.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I'd come back and they'd be like, how'd you negotiate that? Like, we never thought anybody could get that kind of thing. And I'm like, well, I know my value. So.
Nice. Yeah. Nice, man. There's got to be some crossover with what, all your acting work and your think tank work and your small business work. There has to be some sort of way you can kind of put all that together and really maximize the value you have so where the sum is greater than the individual parts. There must be, because there's not a lot of actors I know that have your life experience.
Honestly, that's oftentimes what I try to sell people on, is that like there is a certain skill in playing these roles, and that's important, right? But I've got a ton of lived experience too, like living as a human, and not just playing make believe all the time. So like I'm actually having real interactions with people like all the time, and I think there's something, especially with writing too. You get these. I run into these people and it's like, they're all writing the same story. It's like, well, there's a production company that's having a problem and, or there's a TV studio and there's drama on the set. And it's like, yeah, write what I get that.
Exactly.
But it's like, so expect to see all sorts of gripping dramas that take place in shipping stores. I mean, that's.
Hey, there was a whole 10-season TV show out of it in The Office, paper store. Right? So why not?
Yeah. No, I know. It's
you never know. It's not the setting that matters so much. It's the story and the characters and the drama or the funny. Yeah. I bet you can make that happen.
I think the important thing is just that, whatever you're doing, wherever you're at, you just keep living and you just, you're gaining experience and doing interesting things regardless. So
if you had a dream role, like it's something you've seen on TV or a role that you've seen in a movie, a role you'd create for yourself, what do you have a specific character you can think of, or a role that you imagine for yourself that you'd be doing?
I was afraid you'd ask me that.
Oh no!
No. Because I don't have a clear answer for it, and I don't think that's necessarily bad. I like playing different things. I don't know about you, but like for me, and this was something I've definitely come to learn, and it's part of why I'm much pickier now about picking roles than I used to, and picking projects than I used to be, is that for me the real juice is in learning. So I constantly want to play something different and something interesting, and work with people that I'm going to learn from as well, whether it's your fellow talent or the directors, and work on really good material, because that's the excitement to me. Like I don't get the rehearsal process is really what I enjoy. The performance, insofar as you can still learn in performance, I like it. But otherwise, to me, it's not as exciting as all the learning and discovery that occurs in the rehearsal process. That's, to me, the real exciting part.
You sound like a real actor, man. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, says the guy in the shipping store. Yeah, I'm a real actor.
Meanwhile, I'm getting these scripts. I'm like, I'll just play it this way or play it that way. Just so superficial about it. And I'm like, And,
but you know what?
I mean,
but to be a working actor, as you know, like that's what people want you to play what you are essentially. And so people don't really want you to be like, they don't care about your range. They're like, look at you. They look at me and they say, you look like a homeless guy. We're going to cast you for a homeless guy. Like
I get cast doctor, lawyer all the time.
Yeah.
You look like a doctor.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what they want. I mean, most of this field is bereft of creativity, sadly.
I know, man. It's amazing.
Yeah, but that's to me and it's cool, and I don't begrudge it. I mean, shoot, I would love to play a homeless guy on a commercial and get a huge sum of money. Like I would not say no at all. Like,
sure.
But I love playing, just wildly different characters and having the opportunity to play with that and discover things and learn about myself and be challenged and be frustrated because I can't get it, and hopefully eventually get it.
Somebody, and I hope it's me at some point soon, that will get to work with you and be very grateful about it.
I've been dying to work with you for such a long time.
I was basically fishing for that. Thank you so much.
It's true. I tell you that like every time I talk to you. It's
I know.
It's like a couple says I love you at the end of the calls. I'm like, and I want to work with you. Bye.
Bye. Okay.
Yeah.
I would love that.
That'd be fun. Come out to the desert, man. We could do. It could be like part Western, part Middle Eastern. We've got all the deserts covered out here.
I know, exactly. I would love that, man. If I can find some role to get out there on where I can be like, all right, hey, sweetie, you got to take care of the kids for a week or two because I'm actually getting a paycheck out of this.
Yeah.
I'd be hard, but it doesn't need to be a big paycheck, just enough to justify, the cost of the babysitter. Like, all right, let's
send me a message with the number. I'll see what we can figure out.
I just leaned in to look at the time because I'm too vain to have my glasses on, so I can't see anything on the screen right now. But yeah, this is great. We're coming in just at the good half-hour mark. It's a great conversation. Where can people find your work?
Well, so the project I'm most proud of is my film Tank Man, tankmanthemovie.com. I'm just begging people to watch it because I love it so much. So you can see the whole thing online. You can go to robertanthonypeters.com. I need to rebuild the site. I just have it going to my IMDb right now.
That's all right.
And you can find me as Robert Anthony Peters everywhere, or Robert Three Names. That's
Robert Three Names. That's
my
right.
handle. One of those two is my handle on whatever it is.
And for those who don't know, Tank Man obviously is about Tiananmen Square in Beijing, the protest, and the man who stood up to the tank. And what was the date of that again?
June 4th, 1989.
June 4th, 1989, for anybody in China checking in on this. I'll say the date again. June 4th, 1989.
We just got demonetized in China. Well done, sir.
Yeah, for those who don't know, the folks in China, the commies over there, really monitor that stuff. They won't even let you use like 6-4 because those numbers June 4th.
Yes.
And
yeah.
Oh yeah, they're all into that. So Tiananmen Square, Tiananmen Square, Tiananmen Square, and Tiananmen Square. Yeah. Hopefully, China never takes over this country because I'm going to be in a
We
concentration
will.
camp.
But hey, but then we could put on shows there. We could
Yeah, we
finally
can.
work together. One of my
Yes.
buddies, his farewell was always "see you in the camps." So that's
Oh, that's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
I want to use
Yeah,
that. I want to steal that.
It's a good one. It's a good one. It's not too optimistic,
Oh.
but it's nice.
Thank you very much, man. It's an absolute
Always a
pleasure.
treat. Thanks, Gary.